Hello everyone. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening. In this video tutorial, I will discuss about chapter 6 in your textbooks or in your ebooks about changing the world, right? Basically about legal and ethical issues. Some of the topics that we are going to discuss is introduction to ethics, piracy and copyrighted law, personal conduct or netiquette, privacy and surveillance, as well as global environmental issues. Okay, let's move on to the first slide. What is ethics? Ethics is the philosophical study of morality. Basically, is what is right and what is wrong according to your belief, okay, or a set of values. Okay, let me give you example. Okay, let's say that you want to get some candy, okay, in the store, right? When you try to get some candy without paying, that may be unethical, is also illegal, okay, because purchasing something without compensate with money, that would be illegal. Another example of ethics, cheating, right? Cheating is kind of unethical because other students work very hard and study so hard for the exam while other students just copy from others. That may be unethical also, right? Many activities that are unethical is also illegal. Okay, so make sure you know the difference. So ethics basically the study of morality, what is wrong and what is right according to your moral or belief or your set of values. Okay, one of the factors that can significantly affect a person's ethical outlook is empathy, right? Empathy is the ability to recognize and understand and share the feelings of others. Let's say that student fail the class. We may feel empathy to student, however, if they do not do the works, right? There is nothing much instructor can do to help student, right? If students have done their best and do the work on regular basis, right, then the instructor will be able to help the student. Okay, so when student get a bad grade or fail the course, as an instructor, I also feel empathy. However, I have to follow the college procedures and policy. Okay, so make sure you understand that. That's what it means. The next one is piracy. Piracy means acquiring or exchanging copies of protected digital creation without payment to or permission from the creator. So let's say that when I create a movie, people just cannot pirate it. You know what I mean? Because producer or artist they spend a lot of money creating the movie. So it is unfair that people just make copy and give it to somebody else without compensation. Okay. The legal concepts that have been created and refined to help protect intellectual property, like music, videos, all of those are an example of intellectual property. Some other country, some other country are not enforcing intellectual property laws or regulation very well. Okay, so student can do some research. Okay, when you guys Google it up, type intellectual property, the most violated intellectual property in the world, it will show up some example of the country that not enforced very well. Okay, how about copyright? What is copyright? Copyright is a legal concept that grants right and control to the owner of published work. Let's say that you create a books or you have a painting, right? You write a song, you can copyright them, right? So it gives the author the exclusive right to sell and distribute or copy and perform the works, right? That's called copyright. Normally, When people invented something, they need to put a copyright. All right. By the way, I have some questions here about chapter 6, right? For example, discuss the following concept and be sure to give example like what is piracy, copyrights, and ethics. Okay. However, due to the time constraint for spring 2020, because of COVID-19, I'm not going to ask students to answer these questions. However, you guys need to do a review, chapter 6 review in SIMNet, okay? Because exam number 3 consists of chapter 5 and 6. So be sure student review this PowerPoint and read the books as well as do the reviews in SIMNet. It says there, chapter 5, there's one of them, and then the other one is chapter 6. Because after students finish the reviews, they need to take the exam, okay, which is exam number 3. Remember, this is regular semester exams before finals. All right, so please pay attention with that. All right, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is public domain, right? Well, what is public domain is basically work that are in public domain can be downloaded and used without obtaining permission. For example, once the copyright uh, already expired, that become a public domain. Okay, the copyright lasts about 70 years after the creator passed away. Okay, so that is the life of a copyrighted materials. The life of a person plus 70 years. So your son or your grandson or your granddaughter may still receive a royalty of that. Okay. The other terms that students need to know is called fair of use. What is fair of use? Fair of use is a limited set of circumstances where others can use a portion of copyrighted material without obtaining permissions. Let me give you an example. In our class, we use a textbook that consists of 100 to 200 pages. If a student just make a copy of 5 to 10 pages of that textbook, it is called fair of use because it's only a few pages. However, when student copy 2 or 3 chapters, which consists of 40 pages to 50 pages, that may not be a fair of use anymore because you almost copy 30% of that. So remember that. Because why? If you want to have a copy with that, then you need to get a permission from the creator. All right? So that is the term fair of use. The impact of piracy. Well, I think many of you knows, right? The impact of this when people committed a piracy, they can be prosecuted by the law enforcement. So make sure that students do not do it, and not only it is illegal, but it's also unethical. All right. The impact to artists, companies, and the economy is substantial because they spend a lot of money doing all of those. All right. Move on to the next one. Alternative to piracy, you can purchase online, you can do a rental. Nowadays most companies use subscription services, right? Subscription based services. That means you can do streaming for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. And the others is called Creative Commons. Creative Commons, that means is a license that allows authors to set the condition for the free of use and distribution of their work. Let me show you a website. It's called Creative Commons here, right? Creative Commons types licenses, because when you create something nowadays you can set your own, right? You can set your own. For example, let me give you some of the, okay, let's say that we're gonna give this CC BY, right? CC BY like this. That means the license lets other to distribute, remix, adapt, and build upon your work, even for commercially, as long as they credit you for the original creation, right? This is the most accommodating of licenses offer, right? Recommended for maximum dissemination and use of licensed material. But if the license says like this, CC by ND, non-derivative, right? That means this license lets others reuse their work for any purpose, including commercial. However, it cannot be shared with others in adapted form, and credit must be provided to you, right? So let me repeat again. CC by ND. That means the license let others reuse the works for any purpose, including commercial. However, it cannot be shared with others in adapted form, right? And credit must be provided to you. Let me give you one more. CC by NC, non-commercial, right? Whenever you see a music or a books that have CC by NC, that means the license let others remix, adapt, and build upon your work, non-commercial. Remember, it cannot be sold. It cannot be sold. And although their new work must acknowledge you and be non-commercial, they don't have to license their derivative work on the same term. Basically, you cannot sell the new adopted products or services. All right, so this is an example of Creative Commons, right? So what is Creative Commons? Creative Commons is a license that allows the authors to set conditions for free use and distribution of their works. Okay, Netiquette is our internet ethics. That is a set of online behavior that are considered polite and proper. For example, you don't bully people on the social media. You don't use all uppercase when you post something on the internet. Okay, and you don't use offensive languages and so on. This is called netiquette, right? It's a set of rules or online behavior that are considered polite and proper. Acceptable use of policy. Acceptable use of policy. This is a document containing an organization's policy for ethical, secure, and appropriate use of computing resources. Every year, instructor at STC, including myself, I have to sign a paper before we renew the contract. That paper is called acceptable use of policy. Basically, it's a document containing an organization's policy for ethical, secure, and appropriate use of computing resources at the college. So if I want to do a personal stuff, I usually bring my own laptops, right? Although I bring my own laptop, however, we use internet connection by the college. So I also have to abide with their policy, right? Unless you want to do unless you want to set up internet using your own wireless or hotspot, that means it has nothing to do with the college, right? So acceptable use policy is very important. Whenever you guys work in a company or organization, they will always ask you to sign a paper. All the work must be related to school's activities. Okay, so in here, as I mentioned to you, I also have a questions about this one, right? So discuss about Creative Commons and the different type of Creative Commons. Explain about Netiquette, acceptable use of policy, and Patriot Act. So as I mentioned to you, I will not require you to submit this due to the COVID-19 pandemic, also due to the time constraint. Okay, since student need to study for exam number 3, chapter 5 and 6, and then need to take the final next week. All right, so I want to limit this to 15 minutes. This is almost 15 minutes, so I want to stop right here. All right, then continue in the next one. Thank you.